For the gift exchange at work this year, I decided to make my gift instead of buying it. And with a limit of just $25, I figured the bits of wood I found in a hole under my house, which I generously value at $5, combined with roughly 6 hours of labor, was well within that window. Especially if one values your time at approximately $2.50 an hour, like I do. And after a long evening the night before the party, I created a challenge coin holder in the shape of a U2 Dragon Lady. See, I work with a lot of military folks. They like to display these challenge coins on their desks. They are commemorative tokens exchanged to mark a deployment or service with a particular unit or to recognize good work. Most of the time, these holders are simply wooden boards with grooves cut in them to hold the coins upright. And to be honest, I probably could have made something like that and gone to bed a lot earlier. But I wanted to be creative, and my office has a connection to the U2. And frankly, I really underestimated how long it would end up taking me to sand. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have to save the fun part, the sanding, for the end of the video. No, we begin on the bandsaw, specifically my wee little bandsaw where I'm cutting the rough shape out for the U2. For those unfamiliar, the U2 Dragon Lady is the high-flying reconnaissance platform notable for its quite long wings. It is the perfect aircraft to make into a challenge coin display, as these wings allow one to display several coins along its width. Now, this Delta benchtop model is my first bandsaw, and with it I learned that I do quite like having a bandsaw, but I don't love having this bandsaw. It is underpowered. It is small. Big enough for this project perhaps, but I've already had to work around its size on others. And at the moment of filming, I do have another 14-inch Delta bandsaw, as well as a scroll saw, ready to replace this machine. Although, the other bandsaw is sitting in the corner of the garage in pieces, and the scroll saw is in the other corner in even more pieces. Here I am taking the wings, which I have cut a taper on just one side, and resawing the board to split the piece into two nearly identical wings. Keeping one side square and flat allows me to make these cuts, and as well as cutting the groove more accurately. Here we cut to the most critical part of the whole project, cutting that groove to hold the coins. As you clearly can see, I carefully set the depth and angle of the blade, and incrementally nudge the fence over after each pass to widen the rabbet, until it is just right. I almost wish the camera had not been rolling at all. After filming my back, the U2 is starting to take shape, and you can start to see the almost 2.5 dimensions that the model will end up taking. Next, I cut the tail, which is a simple shape, and begin to develop a slot for that tail to sit in. I will slowly bring the slot to final dimension using files off camera. While the wings, the tail, and the fuselage are made from flat pieces, I will slowly work to bring some curve and taper from the prototype aircraft and refine the shape. And while I'm stopping myself before adding details such as engine inlets, at this point, I start to believe that I can have this project wrapped up before work the next day. For this all to work as a display, it does need some sort of base to stand on, and I figured I could make a circular stand with the bandsaw. I forgot to film part of this, and so this is technically a dramatic reenactment of how I made the circular base for the U2 to sit on. Basically, I took this scrap of plywood and cut a small channel in it like so, and I also drilled a 5/16 inch hole here to fit a 5/16 inch dowel. Now I'm going to make another 5/16 inch hole in my piece here. And this allows me to slip it on here. Well, I'm gonna have to turn on the saw in just a second to sort of cut my way into it. Here you can see the blade is not quite following the pencil line, and that's okay, because I didn't film my back again. I know I teased it earlier, but probably half of the entire project ended up being this sanding. Now, I don't have a belt sander, a disc sander, or a spindle sander. What I did have was a drill press, a sanding drum attachment, and one piece of sandpaper for that attachment. And a dream. Still, anything that would help my poor wretched hands before sending them right back into the fight to file this U2 into shape. After that, it was hand sanding smooth, and then I used 2 nails that I had cut the tops off of to join the wings into the fuselage, a technique which was quick and not very strong. After tapping on the right wing, it's the same story for the left, just tapping it in. Next, I had to find a way to mount the model to the base, and I decided to simply drill a hole in the bottom of the plane and file the wooden pylon of sorts into a round dowel. Finally, on my last 2 inches of free bench space, the final product started to take shape. Here is the U2 on its stand, and I just used simple edge banding on that plywood circular plinth. After testing that the display did in fact hold at least 1 coin without exploding, the only thing left to do was add some finish. And at 1 a.m. on a school night, what better finish to slather on a gift than Danish oil?